A lot of newcomers to the space always ask, is now the right time to buy?
Well, it's always the right time to buy. We have a long-term view on this. I think that this is the decade of Bitcoin. This last decade was the first decade of Bitcoin, and it reached multi-$100 billion by March of 2020. But I think the pandemic catalyzed the next phase of growth and caused it to mature and come to the attention of institutional investors. And so I think the coming decade is the decade when institutions, corporations, governments, and the like begin to adopt Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm. Is there any concern in raising this much debt to buy Bitcoin, which is a very volatile asset?
Well, I think tomorrow I'll run a survey on Twitter, and I'll ask everybody in Twitter over the next 7 years whether they think Bitcoin will go up more or less than 6.15% per year on average for the next 7 years. And then we'll let them decide.
More recently, the Central American Bank for Economic Integration is supporting El Salvador with technical assistance, and Tanzania's president is urging the country's central bank to prepare for global crypto adoption. So we are seeing this ripple effect. I wonder if you can expand on that.
Well, I think what's clear is lots and lots of nations around the world are struggling, and they need some kind of reserve asset like Bitcoin. The United States dollar is spreading everywhere, and El Salvador lost their own currency after the last civil war, and they were using the U.S. dollar as their medium of exchange. But they need a store of value, and they also need a way to move billions of dollars cross-border without paying exorbitant remittance fees. And so I think what we can see in El Salvador is the future model of the 21st century digital economy. And that would be billions of people with a digital wallet on a mobile device. And one of the things in the wallet is going to be a digital currency like the US dollar, probably running on a stable coin. And the other thing that's going to be in the wallet is a digital asset like Bitcoin. Bitcoin gives everybody in the world, and especially in El Salvador, the ability to save their money in an asset that's going to appreciate in value over time. And it's also providing a worldwide settlement and synchronization network that allows anybody in the world to plug their website, their mobile application, their bank into the global monetary network, and they're not forced to pay a 10% fee to move money back and forth or to wait days or weeks. And so El Salvador is the model, and the enthusiasm, excitement here is because there are billion people, 1.7 billion people that are unbanked. They need the same thing: an Android phone that costs $50, a bank in their pocket, and assets that go up in value.
What do you think will happen to the U.S. dollar in the future amid this digital economic shift?
I think the U.S. dollar is going to spread to 5 billion people. I think that this decade is going to see the explosion of the U.S. dollar as the reserve currency of the world. It'll be the digital currency that'll be on every iPhone and every Android phone in every country in Africa and Asia and South America. And it'll move on Bitcoin rails. The Bitcoin open monetary protocol is what allows the U.S. dollar to spread to billions of people. In an inflationary environment, money breaks down into two forms. There's a medium of exchange, we'll call it the currency, and that'll be controlled by governments, and the U.S. currency is going to be the most powerful one. And then you need a store of value, and that's an asset, and Bitcoin is the most powerful store of value on Earth. So
do you mean this has a central bank digital currency?
Spread together. Sorry?
Do you mean the digital dollar as in a central bank digital currency, or?
I mean that the U.S. dollar is going to spread to billions and billions of people on crypto rails. And in order for it to go to everybody in South America and Africa and Asia, it's going to need to be plugged into an open digital monetary network, and that network is Bitcoin. Oftentimes people think that these things are in conflict. They're not. What you're going to see is the U.S. dollar and BTC, both of them spreading to billions of people, because the world needs both.
Before we continue, help us by smashing that YouTube like button and subscribe now to this channel. This shows the algorithm that you value the information, and it helps us spread this message. Sharing is caring. Please like and subscribe now. Thank you. And now let's continue.
The world needs both. They need a medium of exchange that's compatible with payment networks and it's high speed, and they need a store of
we
value.
see government such as former President Donald Trump saying that Bitcoin is a scam, Senator Elizabeth Warren saying, Bitcoin's too volatile, stable coins are too dangerous, we need to create our own central bank digital currency, a digital dollar project. So how would that interact?
All of these are indicators that the entire world's beginning to realize that Bitcoin is the most powerful technology of the decade. They're just noticing now.
But they don't want to use Bitcoin.
What?
But they don't want to use Bitcoin.
They're just noticing now. But the truth is, what they realize is that there's 8 billion people on the planet. Eventually, they'll all have a mobile device. They're all going to need a currency on the device, and they're going to need an asset on the device. As the world comes alive, they're going to realize that the only way that they can deploy digital currency to everybody on Earth is with a digital asset and an open monetary protocol, and that is Bitcoin.
So you're clearly a Bitcoin bull, but what are your thoughts on other crypto assets? You just see them augmenting the centerpiece of the digital economy, which is Bitcoin. That's the sense I'm getting?
I think they all have their own focus, and it's a complicated world in the crypto sphere. So I am not an expert on the other crypto assets. Okay. I do think that Bitcoin is in fact the most powerful dominant digital property on Earth, and I think that it's essential if you're going to spread digital currency and digital assets to billions of people.
Fair enough. Switching on to some of the news, Paul Tudor Jones saying that he wants 5% of his allocation in his portfolio to be Bitcoin, and that's a response to the Fed's soft language on inflation. Does he have a reason to be concerned?
6 months ago, there was no inflation in sight, and we speculated that it might get to 2%, and when it did, the Fed would do something. Then they changed the expectation to they would do nothing until it got over 2% for a long period of time. In the last month, I think it's now 5%. And so we found inflation by CPI standards. And so institutions have reason to be concerned about inflation. Between that and the commodity inflation, which is rampant, I think Paul Tudor Jones' message is a good one for Bitcoin. He's saying that he's upping his allocation from 1 or 2% to 5%. That's great. I think it signals that institutional adoption is coming. I think it's only rational to look for a monetary inflation hedge at this point.
We also hear from Elon Musk saying that Tesla will resume accepting payments in Bitcoin if Bitcoin mining reaches about 50% in renewable energy. A lot of Bitcoin maximalists just want Elon to go away, but you have his ear. You began the Bitcoin Mining Council with Elon's participation. What is your perspective?
I thought it was awesome news because what he was saying was, first of all, he hasn't sold any additional Bitcoin. He confirmed that they'd only sold the publicly disclosed amount. I thought that was bullish. He also indicated that there are circumstances under which he would continue to accumulate or continue accumulating Bitcoin. I thought that was really a good message. I thought it was a message of support for Bitcoin. And I think if you combine it with the latest China news, the hash rate on the network is down to 138 exahash, and there was a minus 5% difficulty adjustment down last period, and there's a targeted minus 4.9% difficulty adjustment coming. I think the implication is a lot of China hash rate that's running on dirty coal is being turned off and decommissioned. So there's a surge in the energy mix toward renewables just in the past 2 weeks. And I think that once we sort out what that means, we'll conclude that the network is migrating to the U.S. The network is decentralizing further. The difficulty rate is dropped, and that's great news for every existing Bitcoin miner outside of China. And for anybody that wanted to see Bitcoin become more sustainable and more carbon neutral, we just saw 30 exahash, which is 20% of the network, which presumably was the coal burning 20% of the network in China, come off the grid. And so there's really, really interesting and positive developments here, I think, for everybody in the Bitcoin.
What to do in such a situation? Inform yourself and keep your financial education strong. We from the Compact Group offer our loyal subscribers a free educational portal with first-hand monetary, financial, and economic knowledge. Enter our invite-only Insider Club by clicking the link below. You will get access to first-class information far earlier than the rest. we have prepared a special deal for all our members where you can access a giant pool of Robert Kiyosaki's financial wisdom for just $1. To find out more, simply click the link below and join our Insider Club absolutely free. But there is more you can and should do. Build up several streams of income. More and more people realize that they have to take their future in their own hands, but they don't know how and where to start. We from Compact offer our Insider Club members unique opportunities. Strengthen your financial muscle and get the edge. Click the link below. Become part of our free Insider Club. No financial obligations. But there's one important thing you have to know. You have to become active. So do it now. Become active and see you on the other side.